Coming up on HDMI Test Bench, we use a variety of tools, including Meridio's 8K Fox and Hound test kit, to analyze AudioQuest Blueberry 18 HDMI cables. How's it going, home theater fans? My name is Todd Anderson, editor at the home theater forum, avnirvana.com, and today we have two different lengths of AudioQuest's Blueberry 18 HDMI cables back on the test bench for evaluation. AudioQuest is a recognizable name in the AV world. Having been in the game for over 30 years, it has a reputation of producing high quality cables and components, and not surprisingly, they come with the kind of price tags you'd expect to find with higher end products. If you haven't watched our HDMI Test Bench primer video for the AudioQuest HDMI cable review series and would like to have a better understanding of its entire range of HDMI cables, hit pause and look for a link right down in the description. I'll drop it at the very top. In this review, we're analyzing two different lengths of the Blueberry 18 cable. One represents the shortest available length in the series, and that is 0.75 meters. The other is the longest, that lands at 5 meters. Pricing for these two models is $29.95 and $99.95. They're available from a range of online retailers. I've dropped links down in the description for two reliable retailers, that is Worldwide Stereo and Amazon.com. Blueberry 18 is AudioQuest's most affordable series of HDMI cables and one of 4 models promising 18 gigabits per second of performance. With that 18 gigabits per second, you can enjoy 4K 60 Hz and 8K 30 Hz video, along with eARC, the entire range of HDR formats that are available out there, along with a few other features that are laid out in the current HDMI 2.1 specification. The company says its Blueberry 18 line utilizes long grain copper, which is its version of oxygen-free copper and is solid core. In theory, that means it's more resistant to issues such as corrosion, which can hurt data pass-through. Unlike ultra-high-speed certified cables, the Blueberry's packaging does not carry any sort of verification QR code, so don't waste your time looking for something like that to scan. Speaking of packaging, let's take a look and see how these cables come boxed. Much like other AudioQuest HDMI cables, it comes in attractive packaging. The product name, I mean, look, I had mentioned this in the primer video. The name Blueberry, well, that's really appealing, and the cable's box and branding matches that kind of a fun name. Internally, both lengths of cable were secured to a piece of cardboard with twist ties, which is a no-frills approach as compared to some of the more expensive cables we've reviewed on HDMI Test Bench, but it gets the job done. Build-wise, both cables appear to be well made. They have thick PVC jackets that are labeled with cable specs. You'll also note the plug heads have directionality. Now, because the cable is passive, it does work in both directions, but AudioQuest says all 19 conductors in the cable are directional to minimize RF noise. But you know, in terms of my testing, I didn't see any difference in recorded performance specs based on direction. I'll drop a link in the description that will take you to AudioQuest's discussion on the matter, so you can read more on that there. In terms of overall length, both cables measured exactly as advertised, but they do differ a little bit in some of their other physical dimensions, so let's take a look at those measurements. Okay, you can see all of our information right there. Any measurement you see in white is shared between the two lengths, while yellow numbers are for the 0.75 meter cable and orange numbers are for the 5 meter version. As you can see, the shortest length has a thinner overall cable that's slightly more flexible when it comes to static bend radius. Additionally, the physical plug head on each end of the cable is a little bit shorter in length. Ultimately, that means it can accommodate a tighter space between a wall and the backside of a component. You can see right there, I'm suggesting that you'll need about 2.5 inches of space to comfortably accommodate the cable without placing a lot of stress on your component's HDMI port. As for performance, I analyzed both cables using Meridio's 8K Fox and Hound test kit, along with real-world tests consisting of 5 different sources. Both cables performed exactly the same, so I'll only show you a video from the 5 meter cable test. First up is a basic continuity test, and you can see there a full bank of red lights means shielding is detected and everything is wired correctly from end to end. Next, we moved on to the Fox & Hound's cable test mode, where I asked it to confirm a 5-volt connection and 18 gigabits per second of bandwidth. And you can see right there it passes. I then bumped that same test up to 32 gigabits per second. Once again, it passed. So it's performing well above spec. How about 40 gigabits per second? And you guessed it, it passed. So this cable is performing well beyond its manufacturer specification, which really speaks to its robust build qualities, particularly the kind of copper that the cable has internally. This thing can really push through a lot of data. You can see here I challenged it with an 8K 60 Hertz signal and a 4K 60 Hertz signal with 12-bit color, and it passes that content along with HDR10 and HDCP 2.x engaged, in addition to all 8 channels of audio. On to some real-world testing where I challenged it with 4K versions of Apple TV and a Roku Ultra, along with a 4K Kaleidoscape Strider C player and a Panasonic UB820 4K disc player. In terms of lag, I tested that with my eyes and a Nintendo Switch. Didn't see any issues there. And you can see here the connection with a Panasonic UB820 playing a 4K version of the film Gemini Man, which is a 4K 60 Hertz film, and there are 0 issues pushing that signal through to a JVC NZ8 projector. In addition, the cable passed hot plugging scenarios with all 5 sources. So the big verdict: AudioQuest Blueberry 18 HDMI cables. Not only do these cables pass, but they also far exceed the manufacturer's stated specifications. They get my absolute stamp of approval. And look, I think these are falling into that Best Buy category, particularly when you begin to compare it to other AudioQuest cables that cost a lot more. This one falls on the less expensive side. You know you're getting quality, and you know you're getting something that will last a really long time. So 2 thumbs up. All right, folks, that's all I have for you right now. Please check down in the description for links to other AudioQuest HDMI cable reviews, and we'll see you next time on HDMI Test Bench.